This message, it's not for the faint of heart. I'm assuming you've arrived here, or I've arrived into your experience more accurately, because not only do you see this realm, and I say see it, not just look at it upon the surface from a superficial lens, oh, you see it. You've met the deepest shadows within yourself, and therefore you can recognize them within those around you. And because you've learned how to hold space for your deepest triggers, pain, you're also able to naturally hold space for those around you who are also going through the same. And I'm hearing give them the grace, supply them that compassion, because you first had to learn to give that to yourself. Your perception is a tool. And I was also hearing before opening up this reading, it can also become a weapon. But when you realize that you're turning that weapon upon yourself, there's no use for your sword. Because if you try to, I'm just seeing someone like put it in the mirror, well, the mirror is going to shatter. And I'm seeing illusions have shattered for you. There are certain things that you've seen within yourself and also those around you that you cannot unsee. And I'm speaking to a very specific soul, a very special soul, who's arrived at a place where there is no other option but to hold unconditional love, which is just unconditionally accepting all aspects of yourself. And though I'm hearing the shadow aspects of those around you, even if they still reject those fragments, okay? All right, the message I got was a priest is a shepherd in a world of wolves. But this isn't a statement about danger, it's a statement about perception. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys, right? So the illusion of the wolves is essentially, if you believe that the world is hostile, you'll meet hostility everywhere that you go, because reality is going to continuously reinforce your subconscious core belief systems to you. Now, I'm going to read Light Curve for you because this is something that you've been able to shift where, okay, you're a multidimensional being. I'm seeing that you've been embracing your multidimensionality. What is multiple dimensions? Well, dimensions are not spatial concepts. That's what the brain is formatted to believe. Instead, they're frequencies. This is organized via vibrational frequency when we talk about dimensions, okay? And each dimension holds within it a frequency of thought. So this is the quality of your thoughts, whether that's highly conducive or maybe, not such counter-creative thoughts, right? Not super productive thoughts. That's like slower oscillations versus rapid spin rates. So reality is simply undifferentiated bandwidths of frequency light moving from the slowest oscillation to the fastest. Fastest is high vibrational and fluidity, right? Not attaching and even to those thoughts, and they just flow through you freely. And the slowest oscillation is, where those thoughts are something that weighs you down, okay? It kind of keeps you entangled with the situation, and that could be thoughts of judgment. Now, with Light Curve, again, I'm seeing that you've been embracing your multidimensionality, which simply means that you have more than one way of looking at a situation, also feeling about a situation, and that also changes your resonance to it, and it will then therefore change the way that you experience it. So let me go ahead and read Light Curve for you so you can understand what I'm saying. A changeable wave. It tells you to embrace the changes, especially when it comes to your perception. The variation of the brightness of an object over time. It provides information about the physical processes which occur. The processes will be beneficial as it's luminous, but its stability will vary in intensity. Since the path is not linear, it is important to remember this at the bottom of the wave. The light will shine again. The memory will prevent resignation or abandon from happening while the wave is changing. Knowing that hope should not be abandoned. This is super interesting because, there's a few messages that are coming through for you. The first one is this quote that is showing up where you can recognize this in those around you. And the quote is, when trauma gets triggered, you don't act your age, you act the age when the wound was created. And I'm just seeing things that you've been able to see within those around you are evident of their history, especially with very strong fixated formed opinions, because opinions are confessions in disguise because it's linked to personal history. Okay, an opinion, a very strong opinion, a very fixed opinion will show you the past events, right? The historic events that have shaped the perception of that human, and that perception becomes locked. Okay, I'm also seeing like a tunnel vision, and that there is a previous perception that you could have had, but I'm seeing that's kind of expanded, even when it comes to the way that you see yourself and maybe your journey on this planet. Wow, there's so much that's coming through. I'm trying to figure out what way to do this. However, this is happening because of high heart activation. You're being able to see life on earth through the lens of the heart chakra, which is your interconnectedness to all things. There is this deep level of profound unconditional love that has emerged through this deep awareness that you have, not just the awareness of yourself, but also aware of how another human may not be ready to accept that suffering is a choice. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It also says we cannot predict how the adventure will unfold. So even though the human may be navigating this construct like this way currently, that is not fixed unless they choose that. The message I'm getting for we cannot predict how the future will unfold or the adventure will unfold is that the part of the brain that the human is accessing at that given moment in time reflects their stage of evolution. And it's almost like you're someone that has trust, and more trust in another fractal of awareness that may not be fully conscious of itself yet, ability to overcome its current circumstances than it may have in that moment in time, which is profoundly astonishing. Okay, it's almost like you could see more potential in those around you than they could even see in themselves at this stage in their life. It's super interesting. And it also talks about navigating the fluctuating waves. Adapting to changes along the journey will be key to success. Versatility is key. So again, this is a very versatile lens, all right? That's what I'm seeing. The role of the shepherd is that a shepherd does not exist because there are wolves. A shepherd exists because there are souls who believe there are wolves. The priest, the guide, the witness, they stand not in fear, but in clarity. They do not fight the wolves. They dissolve them by seeing differently. Okay, you dissolve the wolves around you. You dissolve the belief systems of fear when you recognize that everything is an act of love or a call for love. Exaggerated emotions or responses, right, especially when we talk about triggers, are simply calls for attention. And it usually is from the wounds of the inner child. I'm hearing the unmet needs. Listen to the unmet needs. And it's not going to come through the sentences themselves. It will come through, what's the saying? Don't read the lines, but read in between the lines. There's something around you have a profound ability to read in between the lines of what someone's saying. You could be focusing more on the things that they're not saying, also not the things that they're doing, but also the things that they are not. I can also attest to this, with navigating multiple dimensions. In the third dimension, this isn't the only construct that we experience dualistic themes around, and many other dimensions and planes, higher dimensions, are also experiencing themes of duality. And so what I was seeing was this theme. And I've done this. I've worked with many other interdimensional beings. And whenever there's one that shows up in the field and they have this love of power, and it usually comes from a need of control, and you recognize that exaggerated emotion or dominating energy, right? That desire to dominate in some way, especially energetically, maybe it's physically, really comes from a sense of not feeling safe. It actually comes from a survival wound. And I've interacted with many of these beings, and the moment that I've unconditionally accepted this as also a fractal that we have within us, right? It can be our trauma, which is fractalized parts of ourselves that we're learning to reunify, accept wholeheartedly. That's the moment that they actually dissolve, right? The walls dissolve the moment that we see them differently. The moment that we see it as a being experiencing profound suffering. And when we recognize that, we have no other option but with the heart space to recognize our interconnectedness to all things. Doesn't mean that we have to take on that suffering as our own, but we can accept others in ways that they have not yet learned to accept themselves just yet. And they still could be rejecting those aspects of themselves. So in this truth, with the heart space, here fear no longer pretends to be power. Here masks fall away. Here you see what survives after belief dissolves. And what survives is not the wolf, but awareness. When you stop believing the world is a wolf, you no longer need to be a shepherd. You remember that there are no wolves here, only mirrors, waiting for you to recognize yourself. It's really interesting because I was experiencing this theme in my own life only a few days ago. And I know if it's happening in my own subjective journey, objectively, there's a collective theme happening. And through my observations, there was an individual I was interacting with. And what I learned is it was about control as a coping mechanism. And it often comes through dysregulated emotions many times, and really this was someone who felt internally unsafe, also unseen and threatened by the perception of others. And the thing is, this happens when we see this world through a survival lens, and we can also phase into that survival lens. So they often try to manage the external world to create a sense of stability. So instead of self-regulating, this would be the individual that over-explains how they should be treated. They'll intellectualize basic relational values, maybe attempt to script the relationship, or frame boundaries in a way that subtly presses compliance. This wound comes from the inner child, trying to prevent abandonment, shame, or exposure, not from grounded adult relating. I want to be clear that this doesn't make an individual bad, especially with light curve. You know, light curve talks about a changeable wave, and we can't predict how the future will unfold. Just like those around you have been forced to change their point of reference for you because you're no longer a version that you were, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even just a few days or a few hours ago. Hell, maybe like Alice, you weren't the same person as you were yesterday. Your point of reference could also shift for those around you. There's something around being open, and I'm just seeing that be flexible. It's like you're leaning into the potential and you're seeing a facet or another octave within someone and not defining a fixed opinion, okay, or forming a fixed opinion or perspective on someone based upon how they acted at that given moment in time, right? Based off of a survival lens. You don't see it as the whole of them. Instead, you see it as a fragmented aspect of them, right? That's what I'm seeing. It's like you see life through the lens of wholeness and not the lens of separation. The key distinction and tool that you can hold when navigating these situations on your end is going to be healthy boundaries. That's the only thing that's going to be in your control. How another individual chooses to say something or how they may think or feel about you or the situation, is not within your control. You know, how another person chooses to present themselves or project onto you is a reflection of them. Your response now is your responsibility, and it's an awareness of you. You don't have to choose to mirror back those same wounds of calling for attention or calling for love outside of yourself. Your response is a reflection of you, right? It's an awareness that you have of yourself, and awareness is you being present with yourself. You can only be aware of how you feel about a situation when you're present inside of the body, and you're able to actually provide yourself with what it is that you may feel like another individual needs to give you, but you can actually facilitate that within your own source. You don't have to outsource your sense of, I need this person to understand, or I need them to accept me, because no, you can understand yourself, you can accept yourself, you can also see yourself, you can extend compassion, right? So healthy boundaries are going to be things within your control. Now, how another individual thinks about you or says something, or how they may feel, is a complete reflection of their own state of being, okay? And it reminds me of when another individual tries to project, again, it usually is a reflection of a deep wound within themselves. And healthy boundaries is going to sound like, okay, well, when you do X and Y, I'm going to do Z. You know, that's it. Control sounds like, here's how you need to treat me so that I don't feel bad. That becomes conditional love, right? It's like, okay, I want you to feel good if you do this thing. There's always a if, you know, or but. These dynamics can feel uncomfortable for you because you're being placed in a subtle position of becoming an emotional caretaker, maybe feeling like you have to regulate another individual's internal state of being. And you can also become the recipient of projected insecurity. That's going to be a huge one. You don't have to absorb. You can observe how another individual may feel insecure within themselves, and completely and wholeheartedly accept that aspect of themselves and actually embrace it, even if they're not ready to yet. So that creates pressure, even if it's framed as communication. Your nervous system is picking up on, I'm being asked to manage something that simply isn't mine. That discomfort is information, so trust that feeling. The best way to respond in one of these interactions, let's just say within the matrix, without becoming entangled, which is going to be, you know, holding on to feelings, which is just energy and motion. That's what emotion is. Well, you do not need to defend. You do not need to debate or psychoanalyze another human. If you want, you can de-escalate it by refusing the role of being an emotional manager. You can only manage your own emotional state. Stay respectful without submitting to control. So you have two messages. The first one is the magic of the mind, and this is Jace, okay? Hi, Jace. And I'll go ahead and read it to you, right? This talks about the magic of the mind. So if you change the way that you think about something, or change the way that you feel about it, it will shift your energetic signature, and ultimately it will completely shift the way that you're experiencing it. The card meaning is, everything that is made by humans was first envisioned in the mind. Someone who masters their own mind wields a powerful tool. With a mind, you can see the unconscious patterns of your life, break free from them if you so choose, and imagine new realities. The reverse meaning can be, the mind is a tool for you to use, but don't let it use you. Be the aware curator of your mind's content and throw out what doesn't serve you. 𝓲𝓪𝓻𝓵 is a planeswalker who is a master of illusions and mind magic. So this is you mastering your mind, right? So mastering the way that you're thinking and relating to your journey on earth. Now, you also have the gateway, and I'm also seeing this as the underworld, right? So this is shadow thoughts in the way that I'm seeing it, right? Shadow thoughts of some kind, not just within yourself, but also, again, something that you may be observing. 𝓬𝓪𝓻𝓪𝓷, the gateway to living a life you love, is guarded by your fear. You must push past the fear and self-doubt to realize your own power and connect with your aliveness. If you find yourself daunted, make sure you have people in your life who support you. Weed out those who keep you chained to fear or keep you feeling powerless. 𝓬𝓪𝓷 is one of the guardians of the underworld and is a treasured pet of the god 𝓤𝓪𝓻. Now, it almost makes me want to integrate another reading that I have for this. The reason this message is coming up, I'm actually understanding now, is because telepathy has been a huge topic of discussion. I don't know if that's with you guys, but it has been, at least with like my guides and what it is that I've been seeing, even within meditations. The veil is really, really thinning as you ascend into a high octave and clear out this dense debris. And what I was seeing was your telepathy skills and mind reading skills, especially with the magic of the mind, is something that is actually increasing. Okay, I feel like your psychic abilities are increasing and your sensitivity is actually a gift. And now you're learning how to use that. Okay, it also feels like something that you're reactivating within this lifetime. Telepathy can be something that overloads you without energetic hygiene. And the way that I see it is telepathy is not just mind reading, you're actually field reading. And when you're reading somebody's field, you can see their thought forms, you can see their emotions, often even memories, how certain memories or chords are being triggered. Because again, time is not linear, it's spherical. So there are things from the past that are continuously lingering in somebody's field that they haven't yet been able to integrate or heal from. So they act from this, again, autopilot wounded place. So I feel like that's exactly, it's, you know what it is? You may be someone that just sees through somebody. You know, it's not like you're just looking at them, you're looking directly into all of the aspects that they have not yet accepted. And that can be intimidating when you are not transparent with yourself. To feel so exposed could be something that is extremely triggering. You're essentially interacting with the morphic genetic field that underlies all form, memory, and consciousness. The morphic genetic field is the instruction manual for how reality manifests, how shape forms, how behaviors repeat, how memories transmit, and how consciousness interconnects. It's the blueprint layer beneath the physical existence. Telepathy is a direct access to the field that holds everything. There is no hiding here. That's why higher dimensional civilizations actually, they have nothing to hide. Everything is telepathic. And that means there are no secrets. Okay, there is no hiding, even from yourself. So the morphic genetic field imposes order that would otherwise be random. They guide crystallization in cells, instinctual behavior, cultural memory, psychic connection. And when you tap into telepathy, you're tapping into the collective instruction manual, the resonance patterns of your group, the emotional signatures stored across the field. And why telepathy feels bigger than hearing a thought is because you're actually interacting with the architecture of consciousness itself. Morphic resonance explains why telepathy feels overwhelming. Morphic resonance means that minds sync across distances, memories transmit through field patterns, emotional states ripple through groups, the past informs the present through non-local resonance. So when your field is open but unprotected, you don't just feel one person, you'll actually feel into a group or a lineage or a habits within that field, the collective resonance that you're tied into. This is why energetic hygiene is essential, because without it, you're processing too much information within the field all at once. And telepathy is natural, right? It's not something that is actually supposed to overwhelm you, especially if you are able to distinguish what is yours and what isn't. And you realize that it's not personal ever, it's always just vibrational. Overwhelm happens when your field becomes porous. And when we talk about the porosity of something, this is the outside cuticle. If we're speaking about even hair strands, you have the cuticle, which is the face that you show to the world, essentially, in metaphysical symbolism. And then when you open up the cuticle, you can actually enter into the cortex of the hair, and that's the internal things in which we do not show, right? Those are the things that are not superficial. Those are the layers that you can see through, okay, past even like the human, and tune into actually their field. So when your field is porous, things seep into you. You know, it's like you begin to absorb things and you're no longer observing them, and you'll have no energetic filtering. There will be no strong distinguishing around like what is mine and also what is another person's. When somebody projects on you, you'll take it as something personal, or you'll believe the things that they're saying that is actually coming from a wounded place. It happens when your emotional body is ungrounded, or you confuse collective resonance with personal intuition. Energetic hygiene prevents you from absorbing these inherited emotional patterns, where you can, you know, be able to prevent basically residue from others psychically and the collective stress signatures that we're moving through collectively. This keeps you separate from the field so that you can read what's happening within another person's energy body without drowning in it, right? So that's going to be a huge thing for you. The morphic genetic field is the lattice that connects us all. You are made of interdimensional reference points, also geometric nodes of identity and energetic coordinates within the collective field. What stabilizes these points is your present moment of awareness. Your consciousness now is what anchors your identity, stabilizes your frequency, and determines what part of the field that you resonate with. This is why telepathy becomes a lot clearer when you're actually grounded within the body. You understand what's yours because the signal is not drifting into other people's frequencies, right? You understand what your own state of being is. And that's the only way that you're really going to be able to discern information. The more that we share our space as well, the more that our fields begin to synchronize. I'm also seeing things like sync, right? Like the cycles. And it's because the longer two beings stay in each other's field, the more that their patterns align. We literally begin to share emotional signatures, mirror neural activity, and anticipate others' thoughts. We become one resonant organism. This is why couples begin to sync, or families share dreams. I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience, or communities will influence a certain personality that an individual may take on. Spiritual groups can develop a shared intuition, and telepathy thrives in proximity because of this. Because it thrives in fields that harmonize and are in the same wavelength. Telepathy only overwhelms in proximity when hygiene is missing. So telepathy plus the morphic genetic field is a skill that you're learning to navigate, not a burden. Once your field is clean and sovereign, your telepathy actually becomes something that you can practice. Resonance becomes very empowering, and your intuition becomes extremely accurate because you have this clear filter perception that isn't blocked or distorted by the debris of what's happening in the field of those around you, and the connection actually becomes extremely nourishing. This is because you stop merging with the field and instead you begin consciously navigating it. Telepathy isn't just about hearing others, it's about navigating the field that we all share without losing yourself in it. So I'm going to love and leave you guys right there. I trust that this is exactly what it is that you needed to hear at this stage of your evolution. It must be something that you're experiencing. I mean, also collectively, like, you know, we're definitely moving into this theme, you know, coming out of period 9 and entering into the grand reset. Yeah, definitely something to practice and embody. So I'm going to love and leave you guys right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing because we'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. Also check out Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAA grade jewelry. You have 2 discount codes for that down below. That's the Spirit symbol. $1 of the proceeds are also donated towards sanctuaries. And I'll speak to you very soon. Also, comment down below, guys. Let me know. I'd be very, very interested to actually hear what have you been observing within those around you. What do you feel like you've been observing and holding space for in a way that you feel like the organism of consciousness may not be totally able to hold space for themselves right now but are heading in that direction potentially? What do you feel like you've been observing when it comes to the themes of your life? Because I feel like there's been some things I'm observing and just holding space for, and it's been very interesting. So it does feel like kind of that split of timelines that's happening, where you're in this world but you're experiencing a complete different version of this reality. So yeah, until next time, bye.